it and it's not working for you.
Yes.
But it's because your audience aren't that way. I think it's been used severally, and I think I'd be in error not to use it, is that if I'm watching an advertisement for a Rolex watch, it shouldn't appeal to me at the level I'm at now.
Yes.
Because they would show a higher level of luxury that even though I aspire, I'm not at. But to its audience, that's their reality.
Yes.
So I think that's a very big thing to remind corporates about, is that branding involves you speaking directly to your audience and presenting yourself accordingly. Yeah.
All right. There is I've seen established corporates that I would not want to mention still, work on their brand daily.
Yes.
And still trying to make themselves visible. And I would really want you to maybe let us know who needs branding, because somebody will say that maybe established brands are the ones who need the branding.
Yes.
And not really the startups or the MSMEs. Who needs these?
Everybody. Say it with me like a choir. Everybody needs branding.
Okay.
If you're thinking that an established brand needs branding, there's a problem.
Okay.
And if you think a startup doesn't need it, there's also a problem. Everybody needs it. Remember, branding is how you introduce yourself to the public. So at whatever level, if you're trying to get an audience, how do they know you? What do they see when they see you? What will they associate you with? Established brands, in fact, in organizations, this is a whole organizational role, is that as seasons are changing, how is the brand evolving? That's their work. Now for a startup, and I think the misconception is that it doesn't have to be so expensive. Yeah. Do you have a logo? Yes. Is it in the right format? Yes. Do you have a name?
Yes.
I think that's a very big thing. You can't exist as Frankule wa Viatu. What's that? What is that? We need to know what exactly you do. You know what I mean? And then now the biggest question is to ask yourself, over time, you're going to keep on changing. And this is when we see established brands that have a bigger budget changing their logo, changing their outlook. That's fine, but they started somewhere. You must be out there.
All right.
I think if you're listening, stop thinking twice. Even if you sell the most minuscule of things, even ground nuts, you need a brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And why is it important?
How do they know you? I think the misconception is that, and I think it comes off with a bit of entitlement, that some people would assume that, but this is what I do. We don't know. We don't know what you do. We don't know what you do. We don't know what you do.
Okay.
When you walk into a room, for example, you must say your name. It doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are. How much more a brand that you're competing with people's attention every minute. Like in this moment as I'm talking, even the two of you who are here, your minds are not just listening to Nyawira. They're thinking about so many different things.
Yes.
To get your attention, I needed to introduce myself. And they tell you who I am, what I'm about. If you don't tell me who you are, how do I know you? So I can't support you.
Yes.
So this is why it's important. And I think, I'm going to say it is because sometimes people will think, I'll get to a certain level and then I'll start thinking about branding. No, you're starting wrong. I think also something else, and I think it's some more intricate detail, is that brands go through a brand journey, right? But it must start somewhere. You don't start your journey at gold. You start you're jogging, and then now over time we're seeing you scaling. So start somewhere, and it's just as simple as get a good name. If you want a tagline, get it. If you want a logo, get. If you want some brand colors associated with you, get them. It's very simple, but it's necessary.
Are there bare minimums when it comes to branding, in terms of branding the corporate or your company?
Yes.
What you do?
Yes.
You've mentioned the name and the logo, and what else?
Name, logo, color. Now, color is, people debate about it, particularly men, because they usually like, what the heck? We can see, this is who we are, Nyawira, we don't need a color. But association, there is a psychology behind these colors.
Okay.
Like by virtue of your logo at Hope FM being red, I feel trusted, I feel like it's a vibrant color, I feel like it has a life, right? Maybe it's in the blood of Jesus.
Hallelujah.
But it's to say that you must have a name, bare minimum a name, and a name that it doesn't have to necessarily be like a Hebrew translation. It could even be your name. It could be your name, and that's fine.
Okay.
Right? In fact, let me just give a disclaimer there. To all Christians listening, it doesn't have to be Ebenezer Hardware. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It can be, you can just get a creative output. The second thing is that you need a logo. right? Because your name may not be seen everywhere, but your logo can.
Yes.
All right. Get a name, get a logo, get some colors. But then also, I don't know if it's a compulsory. You don't have to start with it, but it would be good is get a tagline, because this indirectly communicates your mission and your vision.
Yes.
Right. So Hope FM is listen and live.
Yeah.
It's your agenda. Whether I find you in Morocco, you are listening and you are living.
Yes.
So that's a big thing to do. So I think those are some bare minimums to start with. Over time, we start going deeper and deeper and deeper into now immersing this into the audience. Now this one is next level.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how can an organization, identify a niche within which they could brand themselves?
If number one, you're thinking too hard, there's a problem.
Okay.
What you do naturally is already your niche. And I think we spoke into this at personal branding, but even for corporates, I think it's a big thing. Is that if Hope Media's agenda is evangelism through the media space, then you already have a niche. So your brand must be communicating that in every opportunity. This means that we would see Hope at crusades. That is branding.
Yes.
Why? It's the core of your agenda. It would be very awkward to see Hope at a land selling institution. I'd be wondering, why do these homes give us revival when we enter? Because those are some of the things. It's just to figure out, where am I meant to be, what is the alignment. And I think that's how you think about a niche.
Okay.
Is what are you passionate about as an organization, and how does that how can that be expressed naturally?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are there best practices when it comes to corporate branding? Maybe the do's and the don'ts.
Number one,
Yes.
do not copy. I think it speaks. I'm going to say this. I find I'll make a T-shirt
Uh-huh.
because it's for everything. Yeah, is that just because a brand has worked in a certain space doesn't necessarily mean yours will as well. And I think it's not to say that it's unjust. It's just to say it's a reality.
Yes.
The second, and I think in comparison, it's also to tell you that sometimes you will find that your brand is winning in certain areas, and you'll downplay them because it's not winning where it's happening. That's a very dangerous thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember, corporate branding has a lot to do with your audience. Now, if you're speaking to another audience, there's a problem.
Okay.
So number one is don't compare. Number two, you must be visible. I don't understand why you would invest so much in how you look, how your output is,
Yes.
and then you're hidden. What is this?
So you have light under the table.
You have given the scripture. That's what I was going for now. Now they would think I'm different. But it's in Matthew 5:14. Is that why would you light this lamp and hide it? And I say this with all sincerity. No matter how old your organization is or young your organization is, you must be where the people are. You may have your audience that you speak to primarily, but doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity to get new audiences. Now, how do you get new audiences if you're hidden?
Yes.
Can you be on platforms? It may mean be on social media spaces. Sometimes even promote your content,
Yes.
And people don't like hearing it because they hear spending. Yes. This thing also inquires a bit of effort and commitment.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also to tell you, as you put yourself out there, be careful also, because putting yourself out there is not just spamming us with your logo. Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us who you are in different expressions. Yeah.
I think that's very important. Because sometimes people get, I feel like people get bored. When you keep plastering it's the same thing forever.
Yes. And I think this is the blessing, and I think I'm speaking a bit ahead of myself, but it's the blessing of what the digital space has become now. Is that now there's the value of influencers
Yes.
who have individual expression to your brand. If you can afford some, get it. I wouldn't advise at the beginning because you haven't necessarily grown an organic audience.
Yes.
But over time, start thinking about such things. I also want to tell everybody listening, there is no curse or nothing wrong with getting someone in the creative space to
Yes.
help you with this area.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you don't have to be God. You can't do everything.
Yes.
Some people are great at vision casting, but pathetic at branding.
Yes.
And it's okay. You don't have to be good at everything.
Yeah.
So get help. Get somebody who's in this space. And I mean, there are agencies that do this. There are individuals that do this. There are people who just have, think in my head they have like the branding touch. They
Yes.
just see it and they get it. Get them.
All right.
Yes. So a best practice is delegate as well. If you cannot, because it's also a burden. Branding should actually be departmental.
Yes.
It shouldn't be something given to that Kayang Gen Z with
Anybody,
a phone. No. Because it's not strategic.
Yes.
Branding must be strategic. So I think if you can delegate, find someone who this is actually their area of expertise and use and allow them to help you think about and position your brand. Yeah.
All right. While doing all this, are there challenges? Because while trying to establish that brand to be maybe what you want or what you envision,
Yes.
are there challenges?
Absolutely. There are challenges left, right, and center. Number one, it's not cheap. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the assumption is that because we have platforms like Canva that can help you create things quickly,
Yes.
it doesn't mean they do them right. Let me tell you my story. I used to think that I had an eye for creativity.
Yes.
And creativity is personal. You, how you express is you. Still, one day I put out something, and I think a friend of mine told me, Nyawira, this is so off-brand. Pull it down immediately. So after that, I spoke to a guy who is pretty efficient. He's the one who does all graphic designs that I do.
Okay.
When I sat with him, he gave me a whole brand guide. Nyawira, this is your logo.
Yes.
This is exactly how the colors you can only use on proposals, on documents. This is all you use. This is the font you use. Let me speak into that for a second.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't be using random fonts.
Yeah.
Every time you can't, because your output must be consistent. Yeah. And Nyawira, when you put your logo, this is where it should be positioned. When you're putting it somewhere,
Yes.
this is how it should be. I never thought about that because in my mind I was like, YouTube can teach me. I can do it. You cannot do it. YouTube is not teaching you enough.
Yes.
Can you delegate these things? So number one, it's not cheap
Okay.
because it requires a sense of financial investment.
Yes.
I do think that it doesn't mean you have to pay millions. You can start where you are and scale over time,
Yes.
but start with someone.
All right.
The second thing is that it is also hard to break into some audiences, particularly if you're starting. I think the biggest assumption is I have a good thing,
Yes.
everybody will receive me. No, everybody is waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not salvation.
Yeah.
So what I would like to tell people is that the toil of corporate branding is that yes, you can be visible, doesn't mean you will convert.
Okay.
And I think the encouragement is to tell you, keep at it, learn what you need to learn. The digital space, and I think we underplay it, is that before digital, we would have to pay agencies to monitor
Yes.
how we are doing in terms of our audiences, our visibility.
Yeah.
But now, at the click of my button, I can
Yes.
see my insights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I can see that women are the ones who want to listen to Nyawira.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to be masculine, there's a problem. I'm missing it.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see that they're between the age of 24 and 35. What does that tell me indirectly? You cannot be speaking about extremely over their head things.
Yes.
At their level, what do you need to know? Right?
Yeah.
They'll even tell you the color of things that they like. Like they'll tell you where are they? Are they in urban spaces? Are they outside? Are they outside the country that you're in and you're still speaking Swahili? You're missing it.
Yes, yes.
So be a believer of insights. Now, if you're a bit established, I would suggest that you use a monitoring agency.
Okay.
Because in as much as digital is good, it can also be one-sided.
Yes.
So the two must work together.
All
so
right.
again, you're hearing cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to also encourage you is that you're thinking about it wrong if you think it's a burden if you're spending. It's actually a blessing.
Okay.
Because that spending, it yields faster
Yes.
when you commit to it. Like if I'm gonna spend on this thing, it's because I'm committed.
Yeah.
And if I'm committed, it means God is faithful. What I sow, I shall reap.
Yes.
Say I sow faithfulness,
Uh-huh.
I shall reap faithfulness.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, there are times maybe somebody, you've talked about conversions and analytics, the use of analytics.
Yes.
There is somebody maybe talk of maybe a billboard, they do erect a billboard or they post online
Yes. Nothing.
and nothing, no conversion. They even want to stop.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
One, I'm a believer in research. Completely.
Yes.
Before you put out anything, you need to do a small focus group or get some research. Find out. Let me give you a good example.
Yes.
Frank, I love Hope FM. I listen to it any time I'm in. In
Yes.
fact, I think some Uber drivers think I'm crazy. Because I'm like, are you not playing Hope? But the truth is that if I saw Hope on a billboard,
Yes.
I'd be a bit confused sometimes because I want to see them on my phone. Why? When I'm actively listening to radio,
Yes.
I'm on my phone. So an ad popping up on my phone would be perfect timing.
Yes.
So it's always to ask yourself, my audience, what do they behave and why do they behave that way?
Yes.
let me tell you, you're hitting a miss if you're spending so much because you think it works for your organization.
Yes.
In branding and I think anything business, the audience is at the focus of your attention.
Yes.
If you're not focusing on them, where are they? If I'm in a matatu and my brand speaks to Nyawira who jabs in a matatu,
Yes.
why would I be in a billboard? When I'm stuck in traffic, I'm more than likely asleep.
All right.
Or my seating arrangement is not facing the window. So why am I focusing on them there?
Yes.
What would be better? Put a sticker in a matatu. Go where your audience are.
Yes.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
think the growth is that you can go where your audience are. Over time, the audience also grow. They won't be in that matatu forever. There'll be a time they'll be in cars.
Yes.
At that time, go on billboards.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But if you're discouraged because of zero conversion, I'm also a firm believer in it taking time.
Okay.
Tomorrow morning, you won't wake up and become a $1 billion brand.
Yes.
We all wish it. And by faith, God can do the miraculous. But there are systems to this thing. You must put in the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Frank, I think you're so gifted. I think you're so gifted. But tomorrow morning, if I wake up and I see you everywhere, the
Yes.
first thing I do won't even be to clap, will be to question. It's like,
How?
where are you come from? What has he been doing? What has he been doing? But if I've watched your journey, I'd recognize the growth.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing with brands, is that you must also tell your audiences, this is where we are and we are growing. Yeah, don't jump the gun.
All right.
Even you confuse them.
Yes. Okay.
All right, let's talk about, and we have tackled this just a little bit, about the digital spaces. We are in an era where, digital spaces cannot be ignored,
That's right.
whichever way we look at it. Why, in your perspective, is it important for brands to go digital?
Yes. Sharon, let me tell you, it's a great time to be alive. And
Indeed.
take it or leave it.
Yes.
Fight me or love me, it is.
Yeah.
The digital space is doing two things and people are not understanding it. Number one, it is breaking our barriers and boundaries.
Absolutely.
As we are speaking in this moment in this radio station, there's someone in the States watching. Now, that means they wouldn't have to listen to their radio station. But maybe after Nyawira lives here, I'll listen to a station in the States. So the world has stopped becoming
A village.
boundary based. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. So why I think it's a good time to be alive is because number one, your brand can have local presence but global footprint.
Wow.
And let me tell you, that's the greatest gift. There's a brand in Kenya. This lady began selling clothes for plus sized women.
Yes.
I love her. I love her. I love her. In fact, my closet, I'm not plus size, but I bless her. Every time I'm like, you're Kenyan. This year, she launched a store in Atlanta.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I wondered how did she do this? The digital space made us in Kenya celebrate her. The guys in Atlanta were buying from her because of this digital space. So if you're not online and you're still telling God, make me global. God, he's looking at you and saying, can you go online? Can you go online? Because it's the truth. You cannot exist without the digital space.
Yes.
The other thing is, existing in the digital space is not having an account. No.
You're slapping some of us so hard.
It's true because I know the ones that are listening. You have an account and it says Hope FM digital.
Yes.
I'm happy for you. But remember, that's an audience that maybe are not listening actively on radio. So when they're online, what do they want to listen to?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think the truth is that if you can think about your audience digitally like a whole new organization, you'd be so amazed at how it works. So in this digital space, number one, exist actively. Don't use it as a place to just dump things.
Yes.
No. But then also remember, your brand still has to have consistency. You must look a certain way on corporate. It can't be that your corporate page is where you're posting the wedding pictures of a function you went for last week.
Yes.
Come on, let's get serious. You know?
Personal stuff.
Yeah, what's that? If it's a business, it's a business page. And you can employ admins for your spaces such that they monitor your questions, your sales, your inquiries. They are shops and brands that are fully online. They don't even have a physical shop.
Yes.
They exist because they've understood their customers are there. I'm going to meet them there. So it doesn't matter how on ground your brand is. If online you don't exist, I think you have killed an opportunity for new audiences and new markets. So please go online. And not online Facebook only.
Yes.
It's online everywhere. Because all these spaces are churning out different people. On Facebook, tell us about your brand, get into meta business. On Instagram, post pictures and
Yes.
videos. On TikTok, can you believe that on TikTok we're joking and that place is something else? Post also content there. On LinkedIn, show us the commercial side of your business.
Yes.
On Reddit, write articles about what you're doing. On X, put out some information that is aligned to your organization. So I think you can't exist in a silo anymore. No.
Okay.
Wow.
Somebody maybe who could be listening in right now, and they say, these platforms, there's so much evil. So much evil that I cannot even think of transitioning digital.
Yeah.
What would you say to such a person?
Is this my camera?
Yeah, sure.
Stop it! Stop it now! I want to tell you that evil is all around. Yeah, it's all around.
Yes.
Are you telling me that when you run your business in a shop, there's no corruption? That's evil. Yeah, it is lack of integrity. That's evil.
Yes.
So people who use that phrase, I can tell you,
Yes.
without even being prophetic, it's an excuse not to put in the work. Stop it. Stop
Yes.
it. Stop it. Let me also let you know. I think Isaiah says gross darkness has covered its people. But God tells us to arise and shine.
Yes.
So what's the need? You just want to be in the dark. Can you shine?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're the light.
Yes.
Be the light.
Be the light.
Yes.
And I think it's just to encourage anybody that your business and your corporate brand can be actually a form of ministry. Because you doing well and ethically
Yes.
encourages the community of believers to believe that they too can do the same thing.
Yes.
If you don't put out good stuff online, why would I bother? So this thing is a model base. So stop saying it's evil.
Yes.
Come on, then you go there. You
We
we
go
have sent
light
you.
it.
Go light it up. Yeah. I mean, and anyway, it's encouraging. This example has been used in every area. If the world was evil, we would have never had prophets who came. John the Baptist would have never called out all those people. So who do you think you are? To sit in a corner and say, "Kai, there's so much evil."
Yes.
There is.
I can't defile myself.
You can't. And I'm not telling you to defile yourself. I'm telling you to be yourself. But remember something that also I must encourage people is that when we did the conversation on personal branding, we spoke a lot about who you are, right? Even as a brand, who you are is how you show us who you are
Yes.
online. Does that make sense? All these things are just platforms, but who you are is what you take to them.
Yes.
So if you go there and you also don't know who you are, I submit to you, evil is knocking at your door and you shall hug it. Yeah. But if you know who you are, you'll be able to say, no, this is where I draw the line.
Yes.
Yeah. I won't use obscene content to promote my business. No, I don't have to do that.
Yes.
Because the women who want to be modestly dressed, you
Yeah.
can showcase modest dressing.
Yeah.
There are options.
Yes.
Yeah, but stop the excuses.
Okay.
Yeah, especially believers, stop the excuses in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen. Conpigo. And now, there is now a brand having to transition from offline to
Yes.
digital.
Yes.
Now, how can they still maintain their authenticity,
Yeah.
relevance, and just to be themselves? How
Yeah.
can they do this
Yeah.
seamlessly?
Yeah. So one of the things I think I also would like to say is that you're not transitioning out of on ground. You are amplifying online.
Yes.
So you must still exist on ground.
Okay.
Right? So that's number one. Number two is authenticity is that, I think we should have said this earlier, is that brands have something called a brand identity.
Yeah.
Right? And this answers the question of who we are, who we want to speak to,
Yes.
what we want to achieve in the long run, what is our mission, our vision, our long-term plan. This is what brands do. Even if you're just starting now, create it. Okay?
Okay.
Because authenticity is questioned when you don't know these things. Who you are,
Yes.
who you need to talk to. Let me tell you, if you are a brand that is geared towards farmers, there's a big disconnect if you go online and you're starting to talk to doctors.
Yes.
Because you don't know also who you are.
Yeah.
So you're also confusing your audience. So once you know who you are, authenticity is 100% an identity issue. It is.
Okay.
So when you know who you are, peer pressure dies out slowly. If you know who you are, comparison is irrelevant.
Yes.
If you know who you are, self-doubt is also useless.
So you don't have to conform
You
to...
don't have to, because this is me, take it or leave it. Yeah. And also, maybe just to give a big disclaimer, just because you're authentic doesn't mean everybody has to love you.
Yes.
No. In fact, more than likely, a majority will not like you.
Okay.
But you must be content with the fact that you're not sent to all.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not.
Okay.
You're not sent to all. So also, don't be ambitious that you're capturing the whole world. No. There's space for all of us.
Yes.
Find your space and stay there. So also, just to encourage anybody that in this digital space, in as much as you'll exist with other brands, be careful not to think that these other brands are also not studying your brand. They are. And more than likely, they'll emulate what you're doing.
Yes. Right.
And because they have more muscle, they may do some things that you want to do faster and bigger and louder.
Yes.
It's okay. Yeah, and I
Okay.
think because of speaking to also believers, is just to tell you, don't kill yourself because one idea has been stolen. You're serving the giver of every good idea.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he's the same God who gave Bezalel and Aholiab the revelation to build these things. So why do you limit him? So don't be so hard on yourself when you cannot get more ideas. God is not short of giving people ideas.
Yes.
So keep on trusting him and allowing him to also be a big strategic partner in your brand visibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just while still at it, is it possible that maybe as we use these platforms, can they be as well used to generate maybe revenue?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can they be monetized?
Woo! Top tier. In fact, this one we should have a seminar, Frank. That's the thing that people also forget. In this digital space, in as much as you are going there as a business,
Yes.
you can also create another business arm from it.
Okay.
There's a lady. I follow her actively, loudly, proudly, and I support her. She began by selling clothes online.
Okay.
But every time she used to go to her shop, she'd realize women were coming to her shop. But then they're like, I like this dress, man, but I have to go and buy plates. Can you imagine, Sharon, plates?
Oh.
And they've come to buy dresses.
Oh.
So she said, because I ship in these same dresses, let me ship in plates. That lady went online and became her own influencer and began telling women, as you come, my next shop has opened. I'm selling household material.
Yes.
What are you saying? She has not made more sales. She's made more sales virtually than
Yes.
she has physically.
Okay.
Because these women don't want to be banana with things. They come for a dress.
Yes.
So they'll send things their way. So when you think about these spaces, there's a lot of money on them, right? One, there's money of innovation.
Yes.
And there's money that you can evolve your brand quickly in that space. But then there's also money from the platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
We want to thank our president. We finally have the ability to monetize on Facebook.
Yes, yes.
Means our videos, our posts, we can now make money from them.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you have a page, don't take that lightly. Start creating. Go and research about Meta Business. It's
Yes.
about to become a huge thing in Kenya.
Yes.
Because we have very many pages, but we don't have any value from them. So there's some money there.
Yeah.
But then also there's no money for... The money is not because your logo is everywhere.
Yes.
Your money is because you have content that appeals to an audience that's ready to watch it.
Yes.
Yeah. So even as a brand is to tell yourself, what's the art of storytelling that I can showcase about my brand that'll churn out some money from it.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, please stop posting recaps of everything you are doing. Show us stories. Show us stories. Show us stories.
You
Yes.
say content is king.
Content is king. So show us transformation journeys. That someone listened to this conversation, gave their life to Christ, now is in ministry. You know, like show us a proper narrative. Yeah, don't show us you in front of a microphone. We are happy for you.
Yes.
We are happy for you.
Yes.
But storytelling is something brands need to embody. Yeah.
Frank, Nyawira is on
It
your
hits
case.
so hard.
Nothing but love, Frank.
You can be sure you're speaking definitely to many,
I love it.
many of us.
Yeah.
Many of us. I had a question that I wanted to ask about
Yes.
brand identity and something you've had them call a brand manual. But I see our time is pretty much all spent. So we'll take a business break, but then we'll be back in a few.
Super.
Stay with us. This is Hope FM Listener. If you just joined us, you missed quite a bit, but you can catch up with it on our handles at Hope FM Live. It's time for business. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us on Hope FM. Listen and live. We continue our conversation on corporate branding. And just before we took the break, I had wanted to ask Nyawira, what is there a difference between brand identity and, is the composition of a brand identity the same as the composition of a brand manual? Are they one and the same?
I think one speaks into the another.
Okay.
So brand identity is part of your brand manual.
All right.
But also they feel like you can use them interchangeably, but I think there's also a distinction. You can have a brand identity but don't have a brand manual.
Okay.
So a brand identity speaks into, one, what's your name? Why do you exist?
Yeah.
What is your brand associated with?
Yes.
All right. You can have, it can go a bit deeper if you're a cause-centered brand. You can have reasons for existence. Who do you want to speak to? Okay. A brand manual speaks into some intricate technical details. It'll have your color guide. It'll have a bit more technical details on your output. But an identity speaks into your mission, your vision, all those good juicy things.
All right.
Those are very important for them to have. Your core values are in a brand identity, right? And I think all those things can be said in isolation, but when they're put together, they become the manual.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. You said something very important, and I felt like you were telling us that this thing is good to have, but it won't just come.
Yes.
There's a lot of work that will go into it. So we won't imagine that we will be out there and boom.
No, Sharon, you would. And I think maybe it's just to encourage somebody is that when it comes to branding, faith is sticking it out, even if it doesn't yield anything yet.
Yes.
Because you must believe that one, God has allowed you to do this thing. The second thing is that it's going to yield eventually. You know, I think it's awkward. I'm not a farmer. My dad is. I love him deeply. But he'll be so excited when it's seeding time, right? I'm telling you, we'll all get calls. Like, I've just tilled the land, I've put some things in the ground. He'll be so excited. But tomorrow morning, he won't tell me there's a harvest. Yeah. He'll tell me after a few months, there's something that has come forth. It's just to tell you that the concept still remains. You must plant, you must wait, then you will reap. I think the misconception in branding is that I have a great thing, twende.
Yeah.
Everybody is now shouting my name. I think of myself that way also, is that I've done so much dirty work. You know, the one even you're embarrassed to say, what were you doing there, Nyawira, surely? But looking back, it's the concept of the 10,000 hour rule, is that the more times you do it, there are things now you know. You know, I think about the two of you is that everybody must think, Kai, these guys are so good on radio. Oh my God. And everybody says, I can do it also.
Yeah.
Oh, give them this microphone, they'll see wonders. But the truth is that you've done your hours. So I'm wrong to think that my brand can compete with yours. Yeah. And maybe it's also something else to tell people is that as believers, our attitude should not to be come into the space and compete as usual. Our attitude should be come into the space and collaborate where you can. It would be so beautiful to see brands working together and gaining together as opposed to saying, I'm coming too strong. We're not showcasing Jesus. Yeah. So it's also just to tell you, you can come in the space and learn from other people and then eventually position yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You had mentioned briefly about some of the platforms, digital platforms, maybe one could consider. Would you want to maybe talk a little bit more about it? Maybe some of these platforms and how
Yes.
the dynamics differ.
Yes. So all of these platforms speak into many audiences, but all of them also don't speak to all your audiences,
Okay.
right? So like as Nyawira, I know for sure my Facebook is on its deathbed. Like I think about it, I'm like, Nyawira, we need to revive this platform.
Yes.
But I know it's important, just not for me now. So if your brand, for example, first I think you must have a space there. You must be on all spaces.
Yes.
But you must also ask yourself, my audience, where are they? Yeah. So on Facebook, for example, it's a bit more heavy on pictures,
Yes.
a bit more heavy on longer captions, for example. Very good with business.
Okay.
Yeah, because of community value on different groups and different communities on Facebook.
Yes.
On Instagram, it's beautiful if you show us good looking quality output. Is it a picture? Is it a video?
Yes.
Don't take pictures with oily lenses. Can you wipe them in Jesus' name? Be free. Lay aside that weight. But on Instagram, the demand is a bit different. So it's visual heavy,
Yes.
word less. So if your captions are paragraphs, it's not working.
Okay.
No one is even reading them. So think about how to show it in a picture as opposed to saying it in a caption on
Yes.
Instagram. On X, for example, it's
Yes.
great to show co-interest.
Yes.
Okay, so if, for example, you're interested in farming and there's an article that has been released by an organization that's big in this area, retweeting it and showing an industry know-how is excellent on X.
Okay.
And also for relevant news. Yeah. And then now on LinkedIn, it's article heavy.
Yes.
Article heavy. But article authority through industry know-how. So you're on radio, for example. On LinkedIn, you wouldn't show us a picture of you on air. You'd create an article regarding either this industry, what has it evolved?
Yes.
Because on LinkedIn, it's industry-centric. Yeah, because you have industry players in the same place. So show us that you have a know-how in your industry, an authority or a specialist in that area.
Yes.
Okay. On TikTok, you must be there. You don't have to do every dance challenge.
Yes.
Yeah. But you must be video heavy. And unfortunately, on TikTok, you can study it, but they have a lot of trends that push
Yeah.
people. Be careful with them also.
Yes.
Because those trends wave out quickly. So don't jump on them quickly.
Yes.
Study. What are my audience doing? Are they dancing? Should I be dancing? Higher. Are they not dancing? Should I not be dancing? And on TikTok also you have the blessing of information.
Yes.
You can also put out some like edutainment content that's video centric.
Yes.
TikTok is not a respecter of quality. It's not a respecter of all those things you have to do on Instagram. Take
Yes,
them on
yeah.
TikTok. You can come as raw as you are. And the beauty with TikTok is that it's not a respect. The algorithm is a bit different. It will push you up
Yeah.
whether it likes you or not. It's
Yeah.
the way it feels.
Yes.
Yeah. And then on Reddit, you have people who now have expressive reviews on different things. I go to Reddit for just useless information, entertainment fully.
Yes.
Yeah. Be there. If you can afford a website, please don't kill them. There's still something. Our website now tells you all these things you're doing on your other platforms.
Yes.
Now this is who we really are. So we are leading you there. So I'm not against websites. I know they're not cheap to start with, But if you can get one, don't negate them.
All right.
Yeah.
And is it important to have maybe a Google pin, a Google directory?
It is important, especially if your business is a physical business.
Yes.
It'll be great,
Okay.
right? But then also just to tell you what Google does with its search engine is to tell you the more it sees you, the better it is for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't play with SEO, isn't it? Optimization.
Yes.
Right.
Search engine optimization.
Search engine optimization. But this one, I'm going to tell you that I'm not an expert in it fully.
Yes.
And I think there are people who are. So if you can get someone who can help with it, fantastic.
Yes.
Recently in Kenya, when we had our riots every Tuesday and Thursday, there are people who benefited fully because they had websites for their shops.
Yes, yes.
Because even as much as our shops are closed, our spaces are open.
Yeah.
So you order. Tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, you get your delivery.
Yes.
It's efficiency. That's the thing with this digital space, efficiency.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Correct.
Thank you, Nyawira. We have a few comments coming in. If you would allow us, we will go through them quickly. What a show, immense wealth of knowledge, wisdom, awakening the body of Christ, authentic Christians in a real world conquer. Charles NK, thank you so much. Loving the conversation on branding. Nyawira is so good at it. It doesn't have to be a Hebrew name. That gave me a good laugh. Thank you so much for joining us this blessed morning. Gordon Juma, thank you as well. Appreciating Nyawira, yeah.
Doesn't have to be Hebrew.
And enjoying the show.
There is one here saying, this is Faith Mwangi, saying that this girl is on our neck. Get her number. I need her to come and slap me.
Slap!
Receive the slap. Yeah, thank you so much for writing in and letting us know that you're following the conversation, not just following but benefiting from the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes or so to wrap it up.
Jehovah's about cleaners. You know, like believers, we need to be redeemed.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me behave myself.
So in the few minutes we have to
Yes.
close it down.
Yes.
What would your final remarks be
Yes.
on the issue of branding for
Excellent.
corporates?
First, it's a must-have, right? Don't look down on yourself because you're starting. Start the right way. It makes sense eventually. I think I'm a believer that God also rewards structure because He knows where you need effort. So start with where you are, grow slowly, but start somewhere. Second is to tell you, don't look down at yourself because you don't have the weight of your competitors in that industry. Even they started somewhere.
Yeah.
But then I think also is to tell you, you can close your eyes and bury your head in the sand and say, I'm only going to do what I like. But if you don't understand your audience, you're stuck. The biggest thing in this thing called branding is your audience because they're the ones you're impacting.
Yes.
So it's just to tell you, if you can understand them, find some time to be around them. Catch what they like. Speak the way they speak. You know, present the way they are presenting. And you'll make it so easy. But finally, it's just to tell you that branding is not... it's not a technical science. It's a psychological appeal for sure because it involves a lot of the mind. But it's to tell you that in this thing, don't negate the fact that God can also help you here. Because sometimes we get so obsessed with these strategies.
Yes,
And we forget that God can actually whisper a great idea in you.
Yeah.
Everything we have today is a God-given idea. Even though it's secular, I'm a believer that God told someone.
Yes.
And that person caught it quickly. So as believers, we can't be closing our ears and saying, no, that's not godly. No, hear God, because His solutions are not for just the kingdom. They're also for the world to come to the kingdom.
Yes.
So hear God, let Him tell you, I'm thinking this about my people. And when He does, this is the biggest thing. And I'm going to say it about branding. I'm going to say it about everything in my life, is that when you get the direction, just obey. It's hard, but obey. But lastly, for last, can you please invest in your brand?
Okay.
If you believe in what you have, put in some money, put in some effort, put in some time, some resources, some people. Ask people the hard questions and invest in it.
All right.
Wow. What a place to leave it at.
Yeah.
I believe that we will, not just take the information and do nothing with it.
Yes, please.
But please do something with all the
Yes.
information that
Yeah.
we have gotten. Nyawira, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. I've had too much fun. Twice is a charm for sure. And I'm available to come in case you guys need me. Thank you for having me, Sharon and Frank. I'm always blessed to be at Hope. Yeah, it's a very full circle moment for me as well.
Yeah.
I've listened to Hope since I was way young.
Wow.
So every time I come, I'm like, can you imagine?
See what the Lord has
See what the Lord has done. So
Amen.
I don't take this for granted. I'm very honored, and God bless you guys and what you're doing as well here.
Thank you so much, and God bless you too. Our time is gone. My name is Sharon Naitore Wangele.
Favored